I'm Anna Burton, an emergency manager with the Port of Los Angeles. Today we're going to be talking about emergency preparedness and how you can get involved. What is emergency management? We have several responsibilities, but our primary goal is to make sure the port is prepared. And what do we mean by the port? We mean all of our employees, we mean our stakeholders, that we have building plans in place so that we know what to do. If there's a fire in your building or if there's an earthquake or an active shooter, that we're all prepared and we know what to do for our number one goal, and that's to remain safe. So let's talk about Los Angeles. It's huge. The city of Los Angeles. We're one of 88 cities, but we're significant. Nearly 4 million residents, 6 million during the day when they're working, or 1.4 million housing units, 471 square miles, lots of police and fire. And what kind of disasters are we looking at? Specific to the port, as we've seen recently on the news, explosions. We have a lot of things that are stored local in the port and that we are preparing for a type of an emergency like a disaster. We're also looking at tsunamis. If we have an earthquake in and around Los Angeles, we could be suspect to a tsunami event. Earthquake. If we have a large earthquake on one of our faults, whether immediately in our area or outside, we will have damage. And how will that impact us? What will bend or break or fall down? And what can we do now to make sure we're ready to recover? And then we have all kinds of natural disasters, fires, floods, earthquakes, landslides. Intentional. We can't forget 9/11. We have different types of human-based events. And technological, cybersecurity. Make sure you take your cybersecurity training and know what you can do to protect yourself, both at home and at work. Disasters in Los Angeles. We've always had disasters here in Los Angeles. Fires, floods, landslides, hazardous materials. With just our resources and our businesses, we're always looking at what can affect us. Pandemic being the most recent that has changed the way we operate. Key disasters to remember. We're not going to know what the next disaster is. So make sure you're prepared, that you have your emergency kits, that you have a plan. And if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, don't keep that in. Share that with your coworkers and your family so that we can prepare together. That's our goal here as an emergency management division, is to make sure that we're all prepared and we know what to expect so that we can recover quickly. The most significant disaster in most people's memories is the Northridge Earthquake. 1994, that was a long time ago. It was a 6.7 at 4:30 in the morning and caused significant damage. But it wasn't catastrophic. It's what we remember. It's not what we're planning for. We're planning for much larger. But we like to remind people of this because they can remember the images. The Chatsworth train collision. We have trains here in our port area. So this was a terrible tragedy based on two trains that collided. It took a lot of response, a lot of recovery. Families are still recovering. So one of the things we look at is how can we prepare and what do we need in place to make sure that our employees can get the resources they need after a disaster. And wildfires. Most recently, in 19 and 20, we've seen unprecedented wildfires across our country. So that if we have to respond to a fire, what does that look like? Where do you live? Are you in a wildfire area? Do you have a family plan? And if you don't, we can help you get those resources. Heat events. With climate change and the ever-increasing temperature, we saw 121 this year. In our city, that's unseen. So what do we do for a heat event? We've had more heat events for longer periods of time. So where do you live? If you live in an area that's prone to power outages and you need air conditioning, what are your backup plans? Will you go somewhere else? Do you have family that you can go visit? Do you have backup generators? What do you need so that we can prepare to respond wherever you are? If you're at work or at home or traveling, know your risks, and heat events are one of the most significant. And then public health. We've been all working through COVID together, and it's been a very broad response around the world. So with the leadership of our port, we've been given the resources we need and the policies we need. We wear masks, we're maintaining social distancing, we've been given the sanitizer, and we take our temperatures. We're moving with COVID, not after COVID, but with COVID into flu season. So get your flu shots. Make sure that you understand that the same precautions for COVID, we will move with flu. So social distancing, wash your hands. If you don't feel well or if your family member is sick, stay home. It's not worth sharing it or bringing home something else to influence or to impact your lives. If you want to know where you live and what hazards could impact you, go to myhazards@caloes.ca.gov. That's a long name, you can write it down. But with this, you can put in your address and you can find out what risks are within your neighborhood. And where you are is where you prepare. If you're at home, do you have plans at home? If we're at work, we're working on our building emergency plans, so you'll have the information, the safety information, and the awareness of your work surroundings. As you travel, if you go on vacation, if you're just commuting, if you're going somewhere for the holidays, what do you need to do when you travel to prepare for an emergency there? And with your neighborhood, what does your neighborhood look like? It's very different than mine. Are you in a gated community, in a high-rise community, in a mobile home community, in a residential tract, on a cul-de-sac, on a busy road? Your neighborhood is very unique. So what can you do to prepare your neighborhood and work with your neighbors to do that? So how do you prepare? Make an emergency plan, have a kit, stay informed, and get trained. So how do you develop your disaster plan? Your home and your family have unique characteristics. Are you a senior or are you young? Do you have family members, parents, grandparents living with you, or perhaps infants, or both? Do you require medications? Do you require personal assistive devices? Do you require glasses that you need to keep an additional pair around? So all the different things that make you unique will make your disaster plan unique. Evacuation. When was the last time you did a fire evacuation drill in your house? We know the kids used to do it in school all the time. They do earthquake drills. In the Midwest, they do tornado drills. But do you do it in your house? So make an evacuation plan for your home and practice it with your family, and it'll make a world of difference. Here at work, we have unique evacuation plans for all of our buildings. Where you go is unique. So we have our plans in place. They're posted on iPola, and you have an evacuation assembly area. Know where that is and know how to get there, because that could just save your life. And then in transit. If in your vehicle, do you have an emergency plan or an emergency kit of what you'll do if you're in traffic? If you take a bus, if you take a train to work, if you telecommute, what are the unique things that you need to know to have a plan if you're in transit? And a communication plan. We'll have a few slides on all the different means of communication. But what does that mean to you? How do you communicate? Is it by phone? Is it a landline, a cell phone? Do you use your computer? Do you use social media? Your communication plan is unique to how you communicate with your friends and family. And here's some tips. Make sure you know what apps are available, what social media sites are good for you, how will you use them, and then tell your friends and family how you'll use them in a disaster so that they'll expect to get a message from you or a post saying that you're safe and well, like the Red Cross's site, or that you've gone to Aunt Jenny's house, or that you're with your daughter or your son somewhere so that we'll know you're safe. Other communication devices are ham radios. Many of our employees are licensed ham radio users. We used to have walkie-talkies, but maybe you have them in your home and you can practice with those. And don't forget car radios. If communication and power goes out in your house and you want to hear what's happening, go to your car. Make sure you open the garage door and then listen to the radio. The AM radio stations and the FM radio stations will all be airing immediate information on what's happened and what you should be doing. How to build a kit. Disaster supplies are everywhere. You can buy them in grocery stores. You can buy school kits or car kits. You can go to the large box stores. You can go to online sales outlets and buy your own disaster kit. You can also make your own with an old backpack, a box, an old plastic hamper that you haven't used, and put whatever you think you'll need in it, whether it be food or water, a change of clothes, all these different things that you think you might need, pet food, people food, whatever special food that you're interested in, and make sure it's food you'll eat. And if it's food that requires heating, make sure you have a way to heat it up. It's something that you want to open and you'll feel comfortable using. You don't want it to be something that you've never tried before, something that's outdated, something that's just something so new that you're uncomfortable using it. So open it and use it and then replenish it as needed. Here's a really great emergency kit. You can buy these online, but sometimes they're expensive. So if you're going to put a kit together with your family, just make a list and go shopping. You can go to the dollar store, you can go to any grocery store that you can find and just slowly assemble it, and then make sure it's somewhere that you can access in an emergency. Staying informed is key. We all need information. Notify LA is through the City of Los Angeles, and you can get emergency notifications on what's happening in the City of Los Angeles. And it's information from our police department and our fire department and our emergency management agencies, so you'll have it in time when you need it. So let's get ready now, and let's get ready together. You can sign up for earthquake alerts. Los Angeles has Shake Alert LA. The state of California has My Shake. They're both based on the same system of sensors across our state. So it doesn't matter what you download, just make sure you download something so that you will know if an earthquake has happened and we'll feel shaking, so that you can drop, cover, and hold on, and make sure your family and friends do the same. Here's an example of what you can do with just basic, whether you have a table, if you don't have a table, if you're confined to a wheelchair, how will you respond? Because how you respond could save your life. Important documents. After a disaster, if your home is destroyed or if there's a fire, what do you need? What information do you need? Insurance documents, different policies on your bank accounts, your passwords, your codes. Where do you save them? How do you save them? It's up to you. Just make sure you keep those very important, vital documents, marriage records, birth records, divorce records, contracts, anything that you know you're going to need. Please save a copy. For a fire, in our building emergency plan, we have this: how to use a fire extinguisher. We want to make sure that if there is a small fire, that you grab a fire extinguisher and put it out. If you're not comfortable, just exit and leave and call 911. Let the experts handle that. For a gas shutoff valve. After the Northridge earthquake, we had so many residential fires because of gas leaks. So if you are in your home or at work, know that gas can be a killer. If you smell gas, get out of the building. If you're at your home, know how to turn off the gas shutoff valve. So some of our buildings have automatic gas shutoff valves, which means there's a trigger device. If shaking occurs, it automatically shuts off. And then we'll let the experts come back and reset it. But if you smell gas, please get out and call 911. Let the experts handle this dangerous situation. And storing water. Some people have space to store water in these big containers. Some people do not. But if you store water, make sure that you know how to safely store it, when you can use it, and what you need to do to make sure that it's safe to drink or use for other purposes afterwards. You need water for individuals, for your pets, for your daily cleaning needs. So if you can store water, know what you need and keep it in a safe place. It doesn't last for years, so have a cycle written on a Sharpie or a label so that you know how to replace it when needed. And then if you're a homeowner or if you're a renter, what will you do? What insurance documents do you have? FEMA has an amazing financial first aid kit. so that in a disaster, you'll know all of the key financial documents that you need to reference, or you might need for recovery, or you might need to help get a loan afterward to rebuild. So these documents are available on our IPOLA site. Training. If you need training, there's a lot of different opportunities for training. You can get free training through our fire department for community emergency response. There's online training for first aid, for CPR, for hands-free CPR, or even for amateur radio. You can get most of these online now. But what training do you need? What training are you interested in? If you're not sure, call our agency, our division, Emergency Management, and we'll let you know where you can go to get this important training. And then around where you are, you can do a hazard hunt. Look around your home. If you're in your office and somebody has got a gorgeous plant and it's on top of the bookshelf, that's probably not the safest place in an earthquake. So do a hazard hunt. Where are there tripping lines? Where have people not moved their extension cords? Is something broken? Has that fire extinguisher not been replaced? Different things that you can just identify. And if you can contact your building emergency coordinator or one of your emergency managers, we'll help get that fixed while you're at work. And you can do the same thing at home. And know your neighbors to help your community. Neighbor helping neighbor is one of the best ways. Disasters are not always going to happen while we're here in the office. If you're at home because you're telecommuting, or if it's an off day or after hours and you're at home, there's a disaster, you're more than likely not going to be coming to work in the near future. So know what you can do at home to respond to an emergency. Fires, floods, earthquakes, you're not alone, but many of your neighbors might feel alone after an emergency. So see what you can do now. See what neighbors are going to need help after an emergency, and we'll work together. Our communities are not just our work and our building community, but our neighborhood community. So where you live and where you work, you can help and you can make a difference. So thank you from the Emergency Management Division. I'm Anna Burton, and we're here right in Port Police Headquarters to help you at any time. You can also get most of the documents and checklists and form and links for training on our IPOLA Emergency Management page. And don't forget to follow the Port of Los Angeles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.